Here I am. There she is. I use the cane as a prop. I consider it my shtick. Shameless puns. And my little book is called Reasonable Accommodations, which is based on federal law, which has been helpful to me. Can you guys hear me with the mic?
Yes.
Am I doing all right? Okay, this poem is called Cicadas, and it's in honor of the 17-year cicada brood 2 that came up this spring, and unfortunately by now has probably passed away. So here goes, cicadas. They swarm into our imaginations, although we probably won't get to Connecticut to hear the inland tides of their percussion. Their disproportions disturb us. 17 years underground, then for a few weeks only, the multi-state emergency of their search for love. Their lives underground may be richer than we think. They are nourished by fluids from the roots of trees. They know the forest in a different way. They know the way it tastes. Over the years, they molt, steadily becoming more robust, burrowing deeper toward roots they had not known before. They must feel their truest direction is down until they are summoned to another molt and the extravaganza. And the last poem I'm going to do also kind of has a little bit of a molting theme. It's funny how things get all thematic and, what was that word? Narratology, whatever. Anyway, there are some thematic resemblances here which a discerning person might catch. It's called Favas, and I do a bunch of poems about the Holy Rosary feasts in Fox Point, Providence. I cannot tell you why I hang out there, but I am often there, and I like to write about it. This is called Favas. We share a bowl of fava beans at the Holy Rosary Feast. On this summer night, a parking lot becomes a plaza hung with lights. Across the way, the once-a-year Ferris wheel turns. The large beans do not resist the change. Trading integrity for experience, they are beginning to slip from their skins.
It's helpful for me to just shout it from the back, but our next poet is the wonderful and magnificent Marquis Flanders. Please give her a good round of applause.
July moon. In the gold foam of sky, above the tart stench of drought, the clouds, clenched like dark hands, cross the moon, then part in a gesture of welcome. Come back, says the moon, tell us again how parting can sometimes be a way of coming together. That's the only one I have memorized. I have great admiration for people who can memorize it. This is called Firefly in the Sink. There's no reason for it to be there, no explanation how it hitched a ride downstairs, below ground, far from bushes or dark blue sky. It flashes green on the slick, white porcelain slopes, out of place, foregoing the known for the unknown. Like me, playing the violin, it plays tentatively into the unfamiliar room. Unlike me, it does not belong to a small civic orchestra. It does not sit on a folding chair too short for its legs to get out of the way of its bow. I cautiously lift its small strobing body in a Kleenex, through which its music sings the silent flashes I long for from my violin. I deliver it back out to the night, where I hope it will find its way, which is what I hope, always, for everyone and for myself. Thank you.
case you haven't noticed, Jan and I really love our poets, so excuse us for getting excited up here. The next poet is the magnificent, witty Minnesotan, am I pronouncing that correctly? Miss Mary Mueller, who is now going to give just a magnificent reading for our Helen Burke in honor of you. Can I say that? And but you'll get it when she reads.
Well, when I heard we were honored by having British visitors, I said, oh, I will read my Downton Abbey poem. Because when we think of Britain, we think of Downton Abbey, or Rose Cottage, or Wordsworth. But I have one disclaimer. I'm a Midwesterner. Midwesterners cannot speak an aristocratic Maggie Smith kind of English. So imagine Maggie Smith reading these two very short poems. Thoughts on going through. The grand ladies of Downton Abbey announce their intent to go through to the drawing room after they dine. They glide with slight rustle under vigilant eye of a guy in tails, arriving unimpaired. There is no hint of working through to the drawing room by entering analysis, no talk of getting through the passage one day at a time. Unthinkable to blast through like coal miners, or crawl through or dig through, no proper attire for shoveling through, like pioneer women trapped in a storm. True, they have their snowfalls, financial ruin and illness lurk. The stove disappoints, still they go through to the drawing room. It's something to consider. The Dowager Countess speaks to her American audience. I can see how one would swoon at the sight of Lady Mary's shimmering gowns, a revelation, much like her shoulders, or long for restorative tea and cake, that our opulent dining dazzles, how our gleaming goblets of brandy quietly mesmerize. You dare not even dream of staff to bestow impeccable service. Our dog is just like yours. But what enthralls you, really? What draws you to the screen like creatures round a well-laid fire? You shun our class disseverment, rightly so, I must admit, though at least we can speak of it. Is it that Carson guards the door? How Mrs. Hughes goes to hospital, utterly unencumbered? Do you breathe a secret sigh of relief that stewards carry our guns? Are your jangled nerves soothed by civil conversation? Even I encase my arrows in tiny satin cheese. When rebellious Irish chauffeurs storm the library, Carson serves them tea. We do our best. The center holds. Face it, you want to be me.
Center holds. If I could write like that woman, I'll tell you she was nominated for a Pushcart Award. Let's hear it from the Okay, Mo Mancini, you're on. Just remember, we got 4 more after you. Come on up here and wow this crowd.
Well, I don't know. It's just an arrow. I brought an arrow today. You're in the city, you never know. It's a platter. I'm not too sure what you would do with this in the city, but you know, I hope this all comes together. I brought some shoes, but I'm not going to change into those. I am going to put on a tie. I've been thinking about my grandfather. I had an experience recently that kind of conjured up some old thoughts. In the summertime, especially with the heat, makes me think of summertimes with my grandfather on Prudence Island. It's hot. 1,000 suns scorch my eyes, turn my thoughts to dust. Bleached bones whistle, lively tunes to hear. And blackbirds march through my dreams so orderly. It's hot. So hot. 1,000 suns scorch my eyelids, turn my thoughts to dust. Below the threshold of perception, a silent zephyr whispers. Grasshoppers are the chorus. Trees dance slowly, steps to the sea. It's summertime and fish are flying. Well, we're getting up to the point about my grandfather, but it takes a while to get there. It's like beachcombing. I've been thinking about flying fish. So I've been making them. I can make, generally speaking, I can make 2 a night. I don't know why, but I follow the obsessive thought for a while, and I make these little fish. I got a lot of them. You could ask my wife. You add to the collection of walking sticks, rods on sticks. But my grandfather, Carmine Rossi, my mother's father, a dapper Italian man, Bella Figure, hence the jacket. You know, I really don't know if he would accept this attire. It's really not his style, but he lived on Prudence Island as a gentleman farmer in the summers. He'd get up early in the morning before the family did. We were on vacation, but he had his routine. Get up in the morning, go down to the ocean, pick up white rocks, put them around his garden. He had an amazing garden. He really was an amazing man. Came to this country he was 8 years old by himself. His mother had left him in Italy. He was raised by his stepfather. He pined for his mother. They sent him on the boat by himself. He came to America, and I think he was fairly successful. He was retired early, lived in this house in the summers, and we'd go there. We were on vacation. Sooner or later we'd be sleeping and we'd put on John Philip Sousa. Really, I didn't think it was that funny, but to him this was a joke because this was the clue to get up. I didn't know what the schedule was, where we were going, to the beach, but that made sense to him. At noontime he was done. He showed me that he could graft. He had pear trees with 2 different kinds of pear trees. I mean, it was really pretty amazing, simple stuff that he did. He had fig trees that he bent underground in the winter so that the water would not freeze on the buds and destroy his crop. I mean, really, it was amazing stuff. He had a bocce court, a clay bocce court. But to tell you the truth, I never really cared for the guy. He just didn't seem to get who I was, like it was unimportant. He did tell me one thing. He goes, use your mind and not your back. Well, I probably should have listened to him on that because I've been a carpenter, a boat carpenter. I've worked with my hands all my life. But it brings me a lot of satisfaction. But where I'm going with this, really, the thing that I most remember about him was that one summer I was probably 20, my sister was 18, and a girlfriend of hers from college, maybe her name was Andrea, I don't know, but she was maybe a little more robust than the type of women I generally gravitated towards, but I think this had some reflection on my grandfather. I think she reminded him of his first wife. Departed wife. Now my grandmother, we called her Clara. I guess she really wasn't my grandmother, but to tell you the truth, after all these years, she's the one I kind of like the most. I wish I could hear her say Brucey one more time. That's my middle name, and she would call me Brucey. She was the only one. Other people call me Morris Bruce, which seemed kind of, I don't know, it disturbed me, But So there was this girl Andrea. My grandfather was going to dress up kind of nice. I don't think he had a sports jacket on, but he had nice pants, a nice shirt, and nice shoes. And I took us for a tour of the island: Sandy Beach, Rocky Beach, Grassy Hill. Well, we stopped at Grassy Hill. The grass is kind of tall. Nobody worried about deer ticks back then. Wood ticks, who cared? You just pick them off wherever you find them and get on with your life. So we're going up this grassy hill. And this is the thing that really sticks in my mind. I was really blown away because I'd never seen him like this. Now, this girl was walking up the hill with my sister, and she had on like a peasant dress. I mean, you know, this was the 70s, so it was pretty cool. And he started following her with a blade of grass, tickling her leg as she hiked her skirt and ran up the hill. And I thought, wow, this is pretty amazing. It kind of blew my mind because it was really beautiful. Nobody seemed to get like upset about it. You know, it didn't seem like it was a dirty old man thing, but I'd never seen him just express such a glee, you know? And I thought that was wonderful, you know? I should be so fortunate, is what I figured. But anyway, that's about my grandfather. What I got here, this, I don't know if this has anything to do with him. It's, maybe it does, you know? Somehow I have a way of, thinking of like my family in some strange way, and I feel obligated or that I need to provoke them in some way. You know, I hate to even think of that, you know, so I probably would think of this in regards to my grandfather and say he would wonder what the hell this is about. Now we've got these birds here. Now, there is a special bird. This is, by the way, this is not a special jacket. Obviously, I'm not invisible. This happened before. Oh, here it is. So this goes like this. Now the weather's kind of tough on these things. That's probably good enough. I don't know what to do. Here we go. This goes on here. These guys just kind of go away. This stands up. There we go. That guy goes that way. And I think there's one more. Oh, two more things. First, we have a compass in case you need to really get a sense of where you're going. Put that over there. And one more little thing. I didn't make this. Someone else made this, but it's mine now, so I can kind of do what I want with it. You know? I think it's a sign of respect that you can actually reintegrate these things into your life. Now, this arrow was store-bought, but I put new flights on it, copper flights. So that's kind of it. You know, if I was really good at, well, no, I can't do that. I could pick it up and carry it, but that's it. Thank you. Now you gotta get this.
Nothing. I'm just totally as always, I'm totally overwhelmed.
Thank you.
Don't rush. Is he not the magic man? You have to really look at what he does. By the way, you're a wonderful dancer. Just saying.
Sometimes you have to pretend you don't know the poet. We now have Robert Graves Jr., who's going by Bob Graves tonight, I guess.
Sure.
And he is not only a fabulous poet, but a very, very dear friend. Thank you.
I guess
before I do the poem, I have to do a little primer on pachinko. Anybody know about pachinko here? Well, Larry does. Anyway, pachinko is sort of like a pinball machine, except it stands at one end. You fire the ball from the bottom, it goes up to the top, and then it bounces over pins. Some of the balls fall into special slots where you win bonus points, and then some of the balls just drop down through the bottom. So that's a quick primer on that. And this poem is called Pachinko Land. In Pachinko Land, all Pachinkovites are created equal, and in fact look exactly the same. However, Pachinko Land is not a democracy. Gravity is king, and all Pachinkovites are subject to the rules. Upon closer observation, however, one discovers that approximately half of Pachinkovites appear to be slightly smaller, and thus are treated with less gravity. These are the females. They're subject to the same rules as every other Pachinkovite, but it takes them a bit longer to attain their goals. All Pachinkovites begin life at the top, hurtling themselves from the edge of Pachinko Land to begin their life's journey. Pachinkovites will encounter obstacles along their path, either enablers or disablers. They will careen from some in despair, then to others in ecstasy, but finally, each Pachinkovite will confront that last obstacle, which will determine success or failure. With great fanfare, a few Pachinkovites will tumble into quarters with names like Lap of Luxury or Fame and Fortune. I imagine one of them to be a Frank Sinatra Pachinkovite singing, "I Did It My Way." But most Pachinkovites already see the abyss beyond their final obstacle. There will be no flashing lights, no ringing bells, as they skid into oblivion, where a garish neon light sputters, "Welcome to heaven." Thank you.
We'd like to ask Bill Carpenter to come forward, and also please give him a round of applause because he is the man who brought us to Len Cabral. And thank you, Len Cabral.
Thank you, Lenny. I've gotten to the point in writing poetry that I realize I'm thinking about writing a poem, say about a dream or something. I realize I've already written the poem. The question is finding it. It's somewhere in the computer. So what I've been doing is kind of going back and looking at old poems and seeing what's there and all that kind of thing. So this is what I came up with for tonight. We got something called, everybody knows the chia pet? Kind of an unlikely subject, I suppose, for a poem. Chia pets. I see them everywhere. Not just box sets of afro-coiffed Scooby-Doos or spiky furred hedgehog planters, gracing the aisles of Walmart, but in the crotches of trees as mossy merkins, on top of skyscrapers as elevated lawns, on abandoned roads and bridges as urban gardens run wild, on Easter Island statues sprouting bristly topknots, in doorless stoves and refrigerators rusting away in wayside dumps, and on the faces of castaway clocks gone green, obliterating time. As if everything were rehearsing some future role in a play entitled Return to the Earth, where we are all just chia pet vessels, skulls sprouting grassy buzz cuts, neatly tended gardens, free of flower and weed, where a uniformed bugler taps out cha-cha-cha-chia. Okay, this is an old one. It's called The Man Who Thought in Poetry. His head was spinning with metaphor, simile, and image, where he composed sonnets, and at breakfast made up free verse with his alphabets. At parties, he spoke in limericks, his throwaway lines, the most delicate haiku. He juggled analogies as easily as bus schedules, and signed his checks, the Poetry Man, with apologies to Phoebe Snow. While composing soliloquies in the margins of their memos, when his wife asked if he loved her, he answered, as the sunrise loves the dawn. When his boss needed a report, he gave it in rhyme. And when his children asked for money, he made up couplets about the faces on the dollar bills. Once, when summoned before a judge, he told her he couldn't find a word that rhymed with guilty. He never learned to drive, mow a lawn, or change anything really that wasn't subject to whimsy. Instead, he spun combinations of puns as complex as Gorgon's knots, impossible to unravel with even a butter knife. When he died, the autopsy revealed a brain wired to a dictionary, a thesaurus, and the I Ching, his synapses rife with poetic fission, and for an epitaph they wrote, in less than stellar rhyme, he never put a penny in his purse in all his life from making verse. If truth be told, 'twas not a blessing. If truth be told, 'twas a curse.
Magnificent, Julie Hassett. I decided to read a poem that nobody else has heard, so this is a first shot. It was a poem that I wrote and discarded it for the Loft anthology. So, and it was a poem. It was a poem about a painting by Winslow Homer called "The Girl with the Red Stockings," and I was projecting the end of a relationship that I said I wasn't angry at him. And after writing this poem, I thought, oh, maybe I was. So the woman in the painting has bright red. I'm very Irish, and I identified with this particular painting because she had bright red hair and looked really angry. So, looking out at a ship that was sailing away from her. Blue skirt, a bell, percussive on her calves. Basket full of mussels, unable to quell the surge. Red hair, a banner, glares at a ship which lifts, smacks the swell, spume geyser over hull. Black shoes plant on granite, root to her core, a ballast that will not crack, no matter the force of gusts from the north. A gush that rushes in her sternum, alone, again, by the ocean. I don't know if anybody is familiar with the lotuses on 1A in Hamilton. Do you know they're just about to bloom. So if you have a hankering to take any pictures, they're about to burst. They're beautiful when they come. They blossom. They're just gorgeous in Narragansett. So take your cameras on 1A, get down there and take pictures. They are just gorgeous. One of the, I was taking a picture, and one of the photographers who was also taking pictures said to me that there were somebody had come and stolen the funnels, and it's a crime to do so. So living in imagination as I do, I made up a whole story about violation, and I was thinking about femininity and the violations sometimes that occur. And the poem, I don't know if you can see it, but the shape of it is in a lotus. You know, it comes in and then out again, and the funnel of a lotus. It's called Maneuvers. A Paleolithic wonder, enormous lotus, tips watercolor pink, suspend in a murky pond, laced with purple loosestrife, that will soon strive to take them hostage. For right now, the blooms know nothing of their intent. 4 green skirts lifted towards a patch of sun. 2 women with lenses like guns try to capture their image. Shifting locations, each on either shore, one eye closed. Each shines a dot of light from her camera, tries to possess an ancient green funnel with many mouths. Lips open in awe. Point towards gray clouds, threatening now and swollen. The cops said it was likely teenage boys on a sultry summer night plunged their arms in the pond, chopped the lotuses at their stalks, coveting most the green pods from another planet, took them as a token of where they might flee to a land with young girls in jellyfish dress that flowed around their breasts like water. They tossed the flowers in a neighbor's yard. Petals droop towards their center, soiled under shastas lined up along the fence. Soldiers at attention, nodding and bobbing, heads in agreement that such a crime should go unseen. We've gone past our allotted time. There's a band that's going to play. We have a mass multitude out there, so I apologize to those of you who have signed up. But Joan, if you would like to come up and close the performance for us tonight, we would love that. We do have books, as we said, for sale by our poets who have just, we'll just hang around, talk to them afterwards if you would, and come meet them. Joan, come on up, and thank you all for being here tonight and supporting all of us. Thank you.
One very short poem. Lip service. Closer. I'm technically challenged. Is this all right?
Yep. Yes.
Lip service. A slice, now and then, filled with ingredients that feed and speed your heart, brighten your mood, perhaps created by a baker whose semantic skill rivaled his recipe. He might have been Marie Antoinette's courtly caterer, paying lip service to the perfect end of any course, where what's at stake is appeal, desire, appetite. Death by chocolate, cake which poses the bittersweet question, is there a better way to go?